Welcome back to What's Next Wall Street. I'm Georgia Alfredas. Who is this Run CMD? What the heck is that?
Yeah, it's a Run DMC, but it's Command. It's a nerd joke. Yep.
I don't get it.
We'll talk about that offline, but the nerds get it. Run Command. It's a thing. I'm Emmy Award winning, and Georgia and I are Telly winning. Dave Mathews with.
How are you Emmy Award winning? Wait a minute.
Slingbox. We want an Emmy with that. So
that's
amazing. It's amazing what you can find on eBay these days. Hey, this is a show where finance, technology, artificial intelligence, and consumer trends meet. If you're watching the show on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@WNW show, you can see my new artwork in the studio, which is a Telly and an Emmy, because eBay is the best. And technically, you're not supposed to be able to buy these, but if you get them on the weekend, then it's all fair. So, all right, Georgia, what's up?
All right, so listen, you can email us at WNWshow@gmail.com or hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. That's What's Next Wall Street. And just like Dave says, you can watch on our YouTube channel at WNW Show. Who's calling me that doesn't know I'm doing a show right now? So that's, again, WNW Show to watch it on YouTube. Y'all, please hit the subscribe button. Hit that alert button so that you get an alert as soon as new episodes drop. Comment. We will definitely reply to your comments. So get her done. All right, so Google is going to have to either break up the squad or change its ways. In a landmark ruling, a federal judge just basically called Google Shady AF, okay? The court ruled that Google violated antitrust laws to keep their search engine as the #1 go-to on your phone. The DOJ and a bunch of states have been calling them out since like 2020, accusing Google of paying Apple and Samsung big bucks to make sure their search engine is locked in. So
that's true. And Microsoft said they'd even give them Bing search for free. And Apple's like, no, I'm not doing that. So Meta's forking over $1.4 billion to settle a facial recognition lawsuit in the great state of Texas. Wow. They accused Meta of using the tech to gather biometric data without user consent. The state says that this is the largest settlement ever obtained by a single state. Meanwhile, Meta's oversight board is pushing for a shakeup in policies regarding AI-generated sexually explicit images. They suggest replacing derogatory with the term non-consensual and moving these references from bullying and harassment to sexual exploitation community standards. Man, AI is just, it's getting more creepy and weird and funky all at the same time. Who knows
Told
what's
you it was
going to
happen.
You knew it.
Yeah, thanks to a viral TikTok challenge, Chipotle is forking over more. And I'm so excited because you know what? Okay, let me just tell you, the Chipotle camera trick challenge is what they're calling it. They have Chipotle upping its portion game. So what happens with this challenge is people or TikTokers film employees who then add more food to their bowls. So the trend led Chipotle to train staff to ensure consistent portion sizes. Because, you go in there and you get somebody who's having a bad day and you're going to get like 3 pieces of chicken. But you go in there and somebody's happy. They're like, yeah, let's go. More guac. So I think, it's annoying when you go someplace and you get a good meal one time and the next time it's like, come on, Janet.
Even Subway, like, what is it, per slice? I guess when you're just scooping out of a bowl, the portion sizes do vary. I usually eat, when I'm going for like a chicken bowl of something, I'll go into Whole Foods and they do it by the scale when you leave. Yeah. And that's why it's called Whole Paycheck. I try and keep it under $9, Georgia. It's always 13 or 15.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I do that.
All right. Just as Microsoft is reporting their revenue is up whopping 0.5%, and after massive glitches introduced by an unapologetic CEO of CrowdStrike, who had low-level kernel access to the operating system, Microsoft is looking into additional outages caused by hackers who bombarded them with denial of service attack against their Azure Services division. Now, according to the market, that stock market, these services aren't growing as they were, but they're key to Microsoft's back-end strategy that competes with Amazon AWS. Now, Microsoft tweeted that it's having access issues and degraded performance with 365 services. Now, these services have since recovered, but their homebrew, get this, anti-attack software, it actually amplified the attack versus mitigating it. Their stock fell 3% in after-hours trading as we record this, but their total revenue increased 15% to $64.7 billion, while profits, they rose 11% to $22 billion.
Wait, they screwed up, but they still made more money. Make it make sense.
Still making money, yeah.
Come on. Well, Dave, I guess I can retire my resting bitch face. It looks a little bit like this.
Please don't do that. That's what I'm so used to.
It's the face, shut up. It's the face I use, not for you, Dave, but I use it to discourage somebody from sitting next to me on a Southwest flight. You know, you got to look hard. Like, I've often thought about painting a tattoo on my face so that nobody will sit next to me. But I'm sure you've heard the Dallas headquartered airline is ditching its iconic open seating system for the first time ever, moving to assigned seats with premium options. Now, which do you like? Do you like to have to roll the dice and go find your seat? Or would you rather have, your seat assignment? Which would you rather?
You know what? When I roll the dice, every once in a while, I'll see a couple that I don't know is a couple. And then the guy or the woman says, you just won the lottery, because I'm usually in the group with Southwest that has to board towards the last, C group.
Yeah.
But one guy's like, you won the lottery, you get the aisle seat. And then he moved in closer to his wife. So there are tricks. I saw one guy, this is trifling. He had a hoodie with his hand in the hoodie, and he had a fake, like a Muppet in the middle seat, where his hoodie had and it made it look like somebody was taking a nap in the middle. It was so good. It was funny.
I like that though.
Yeah.
This change comes after customers said they prefer assigned seating when choosing competitors. But did you hear about this? Southwest is also going to start offering overnight red-eye flights. Are you in?
Oh, hell no. We're way too old for that game.
No, I like red eyes. I do it.
Oh, no, I can't do that.
I do it. Because guess what? I'm going to sleep on the plane anyway. Let's go. It's probably, if it's cheaper, I will do it. Well, who cares?
Yeah, but if I'm going from California to New York, by the time you get the pilot's making all his rattling noise on the mic, and then you land at 5 or 6 a.m. and you've only gotten 3 hours of sleep, but now you got to start the whole day over. Not happening. Okay. Not happening. All right, in a move to keep energy flowing, the U.S. is buying over 4.6 million barrels of crude oil to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That seems low. 4.6 million barrels? I don't know. This comes after releasing over 180 million barrels in 2022 to stabilize gas prices. That's post Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, the reserve currently holds about 374 million barrels, and this purchase aims to keep the country's energy stockpile robust. See what I mean? They're buying 4.6 million. They sold 180, but it holds 374. I think we could do a little better, government. Let's do that. But gas prices are low, so I'm feeling that, because I just finished working on my boat and I got to fill up that tank, and that tank is $180 to fill up. So
what? Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, so the feds are coming for big banks over Zelle fraud. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and a few other banking giants are under investigation by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for not handling customer disputes the right way. Now, with Zelle being hit by scammers left and right, the banks argue that covering those losses could cost them billions, but regulators are not buying it. Get it? Buying it because it's Zelle. It's Zelle. You're buying it. Today's pro tip is brought to you by OptionsPlayers.com. Serious about the market? Do not sleep on the free live sessions at OptionsPlayers.com. Next week, the man, the myth, the legend, otherwise known as Simply Tracks, is breaking down his killer ACNI system. This dude's been racking up wins like it is nothing. It's a rare chance to learn straight from the GOAT himself. Plus, if you're new, you can snag a free month of access to all courses and live sessions. Time to level up your trading skills. Hit the comment section on your YouTube, on our YouTube post for the registration link. Easy peasy.
This is the part of the show where we get to hear from you. You can always hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. Comment on our YouTube page. We love those, especially if you're just a little bit snarky. And email us, WNWshow@gmail.com.
That's us. Okay, so this first question comes to us from Daniel in Jessup, Maryland. And Daniel asks, and I think he put this on our YouTube. I think this was a comment, but he writes, what's up with the Chinese yuan, and can that bring the world market down as the Japanese situation did recently? So I'm going to bring Greg Krause, lead instructor at OptionsPlayers.com, in to answer this question. Greg, what say you?
Are you talking about the currency, the yen?
I guess. Okay, listen, let me tell you something. Can I say something?
Hurry up.
Okay, so I was like, wait a minute, it's spelled a different way. That's not, I always hear people say yen. And so I was like, I'm going to learn how to say this correctly. And it was like, yuan. And so I was like, I'm going to say it right. It's yuan. So,
Chinese person's probably not going to say the American dollar, the U.S. dollar. It's going to have some accent to it. All right. So I just wanted to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Okay. So the yen's been pretty weak. Okay. And I don't want to get into a whole economics class. A weak yen allows them to export their goods and, and have an advantage. Right. But now it's actually gone to like 7.1 now. So there's like a 1 after the 7 instead of a 2. So, and since the Chinese yen is strengthening, so that could put more pressure on them making things there and shipping it out. You understand what I'm saying? So at a tenth of a difference, not going to be that much of a difference. But if it continues to go lower and say it gets into the 6s and whatnot, that could put a strength on it. And then we're talking about carrying FX as an investment and hedging against it and all this. Okay, I don't know how to explain that for the average person. Just know that if the yen does strengthen, it could put a hurt on our economy in some way. All right, if it's a weaker dollar, however that wants to be. But it could force more jobs here. You understand what I'm saying? So now it would be cheaper to invest here than it would be in China. So there are some issues there. But it's a catch-22. Those jobs that are here would also make companies like Apple and things like that produce things in China would actually make those more expensive, and their currency swaps wouldn't be as good. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. Just know if it does really hurt, will the Chinese economy going down hurt the U.S. stock market? Absolutely. The stock market in the U.S. is not just U.S. companies, right? You have companies like Alibaba on it. You have companies like Apple that sell things there. So I mean, it's common sense. We're a global economy now. It's not just the U.S. or this or this. So, yes, any major country like China is huge, right? So, yeah, if their market goes down or their currency starts to really strengthen, that could, put a damper on some of our stock markets.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Question 2 comes from us and Adam in Mobile. Greg, you know how to say this. Mobile? How do you say this?
Hey, I'm not going to argue with people in Alabama. I would just say it's, Mobile, Alabama. But
it's Mobile, Alabama. Adam asks,
I'll just get Cajun with it if they start, questioning me.
That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get the Cajun versus Alabama and little verbal brawl here. All right, this is such a loaded question here. What is the earliest and most likely month that the Fed will decrease interest rates? Come on, Adam.
Well, all right, so Adam, first off, why do you... So you're going to hear, the Fed's not political. It's political. You had Nancy Pelosi over there saying if you don't lower the rates, then it's political. Well, you're a politician that wrote a letter to the Fed to tell them to cut rates. How's that not political, right? So I don't want to hear anything. Both sides are crazy as hell. The Fed is supposed to keep things a low unemployment rate, below like 8-ish, and then a 2% inflation. That is their only goal. Everything else is not what Congress mandated them to do. Inflation is at 3%. Last year, at the same time, guess what it was at? 3%. You can't say, it was at 3.4 last month. Now it's 3, it's going down. Okay, but it just went up 2 months ago. That's, it can't do this. And you're like, it's going up. Let me reduce it. So if there's no political issues going on, I don't really see that. But it's politics. People like to keep their jobs, right? So I've always said, federal employees aren't the best and they like to keep their jobs. So September, I believe they might not lower rates that month and they might do it in October. That's how I would need to see the numbers that come out. We're still about 6 weeks out, right? It's not like the beginning of September. It's late out September. So I would say October, but that really won't affect like mortgage rates or anything like that initially. So don't really get worried about that. But yeah, I don't really cause for that. I need to see the inflation numbers. And look, everybody that goes shopping understands that inflation is, it's happened, right? We know it's happened.
For sure.
Yeah.
And everybody has, wages kept up with it or GDP's kept up with it. No, it hasn't. Not even close, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a stagnant economy. And should we lower rates? I don't know. If the economy is doing really good, I say no. If you want to get to the 2, maybe not. But this is my theory, okay? So y'all can all come back and say I said it first, although there's probably a bunch of people said it for me. The normal used to be that 2%, 8%. What we've seen in the last half decade is whenever the government wants to do something, they just change the definition, right? We're not in a recession because of this. We're not, right? So what it's going to be is they're going to change the norm from 2 to 3% and just say, oh, that's just what it is now. It's 3%. It's just what they're going to do that. I bet you money that somehow they change it and say 3% is the new 2%. Because 100 years it was at 2, and they're just going to change it now and say that's the new normal, so they don't have to do anything, and it makes all the politicians happy. Watch, I just bet.
Okay, you heard it here. You heard it here first.
And they're also saying that because jobs report is okay, they don't need to do it because enough people are working. But listen to this: Nancy Pelosi has a book that's out now. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but she's making the interview circuit, and she said, going back to 2008, when we had the financial crisis, we had the head of the chair of the Federal Reserve was Bernanke back then. And she said he came to her and said, or no, she rang him. It's like, what's going on now? And he goes, yeah, we're going to be insolvent in a day. And he's like, sorry. She goes, why did you not come to us? Why am I calling you? Shouldn't you be coming to me? So look, it's not political, but hell yeah, it is. So great, thanks for that. But
it's always political.
But there's gonna be some good. I bet there'll be some sound bites going around, whatever the social medias are based on this.
How many Fed employees? These are people like Powell and stuff. Fed employees, do you think work in Washington D.C.?
Hardly any. So there's that. How many? Are you looking it up?
Yeah,
no, I know the answer. 3,000.
Oh, what is it?
3,000.
Oh, okay.
Is there a federal bank that I didn't know about in the Washington, D.C. that they need 3,000 employees for the Fed?
Interesting.
Right? I'm just saying, it's not a location.
Conspiracy Greg, he's digging a well in his
backyard. How we pay 3,000 employees for the Fed.
Right.
I love this.
Well,
come on, man.
How do you really feel?
All right, thanks, Greg. We love this unfiltered comments from you, and we love hearing from you all. So please, if you've got questions or just want to say hi, we're here for it. Slide into George's DM. You can also reach. Greg might be sending some email right now.
Right now, it seems like he's sending an A. He's over there like the angry cat. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it's when I research all the funding for all the bills and stuff, and I'm like, what? 3,000 employees? I was like, why? What are they researching?
Right.
I mean, AI can do all their jobs now.
I know. It's pretty scary. All right. Well, thank you, Greg. Hey, stick around because I've got a question for you.
Yep.
All right. You can always hit us up with your questions as well. WNWShow@gmail.com. All right. Elon, remember him? Well, he's messing with us. Wait. That's his usual MO and how he rolls. But this time it's with X, formerly Twitter's terms of service. He's going crazy tweeting about how Google is showing search results for Harris when you search for Donald Trump. Then he published a video of Kamala Harris, the presumed Democratic candidate that Biden was never going to drop out. Oh, wait, she dropped out. Isn't that great? So this video that he published, Elon did, is unbelievable. It's her likeness, her voice, and most importantly, her cadence. Now, Elon calls what she's doing a parody, but his own website says that things made from AI need to be called out as such. As you heard at the top of the show, Meta and other social media networks are putting together guidelines to identify content which may be manipulated. Now, Elon's post did not have that tag, and that's what's scary about this manipulating information. Now, whether it's from Google adding content to their results or Elon straight up misrepresenting it. Now, this is all happening as the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg, get this, bought computers from crashed, salvaged Tesla vehicles. So Elon continues to say he's building his robotaxi fleet. But the print press is digging into this robotic automated driving with hackers, literally. Now, they extracted the raw autopilot data and found that when paired with camera footage from the cars, told a grim story. Now, this is through the Wall Street Journal, who managed to reenact 222 crashes. In 44 of those that had autopilot enabled, this is their self-driving system that I can confirm drives with the confidence of a 14-year-old boy with their human programming system and a great improvement of a 15-year-old driver for their new AI-based software. And I can tell you this because I bought a Tesla just to mess with its capabilities, then sold it because of lack of those capabilities. So, all right, Tesla, they've open sourced all their patents, which is super cool, but they keep the driving algorithm a trade secret. And the hackers learned that the autopilot cars veered suddenly in those 44 vehicles, and an even scarier number of 31 of them failed to stop when they needed to, or even yield. Look, that's a problem I had in my car. I had to keep my foot on the brake and my hands on the wheel, which, by the way, is prudent. But look, the car was trying to go places that it shouldn't. It was trying to lane change into vehicles, from my case, tried to go through cars that existed in front of me that the virtual system did not see. In one instance that Wall Street Journal found, the accident was due to an overturned trailer on the road, which obviously it wasn't trained on that data set, because how often does that happen? And look, I checked with the NTSB, who follows these crashes, and they say that large trucks have 500,000 crashes annually in the United States. Out of these, 4,000 involve fatalities, and trucks are on the road more than any other vehicle because they're moving freight around. Now, in Tesla's case, the car plowed into the trailer at full speed on autopilot because it didn't recognize the visuals that the software received. Look, why would it? But look, I think the car should still stop when it sees an obstacle. So why didn't it see an overturned truck as an obstacle? And I visit San Francisco regularly, and the Cruise autonomous vehicles by GM are now off the road because of an unfortunate incident where a vehicle hit a homeless woman, and she literally bounced under one of their self-driving cars. But Waymo, a spinoff from Google, just opened up their autonomous taxis to everyone. So if you're in any of their cities like Los Angeles, Phoenix, or San Francisco, check them out. They really do drive with a confidence that mimics that of a human. And it's super cool. They'll creep at lights. They don't drive like too robotically. Within 2 seconds, you realize that it's driving normally. But with Tesla, the idea is that vehicles crash for both hardware and software issues. And sometimes the algorithm is slow to get its updates. Sometimes it's camera issues with regard to contrast or calibration. The story is going to get more visibility in the coming weeks, I'm sure. And the NTSB will dive into it as well as these other investigative journalists are. But that being the case, I believe that Tesla will still be more alert and drive safer than a human. Possibly that's the goal. But look, the robotic fleet that Elon is promising has a long way to go from now.
So, Dave, did you see the story? It just happened in Texas. The first, I don't know if the thing is, we don't know details yet, but the first Tesla Cybertruck was in a fatal accident, and the driver couldn't get out. So I don't know that it could have been, driver error, or we don't have details yet. But I wonder what happened with that. That's the first time.
I haven't seen
and it was
that
in
one.
Texas. It was in Texas near Houston, I think. So yeah, I'm afraid to drive. I'm afraid to allow my car to self-drive. My Hummer weighs like 9,000 pounds. So I just don't, I don't think that's smart.
Does your Hummer have all the self-driving
Yeah,
stuff? Because that came
it
from
does.
Cadillac's division.
It does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
but
so-
I wouldn't,
so I hear-
just don't think I'd use it. I mean, maybe, I guess if I was on a long, I don't think I'd ever use it. I just don't see
Yeah.
myself using it.
You
I
got to
don't
have that
trust it.
confidence.
Yeah, I don't trust it. So every single week, guys, we hear about a long-standing restaurant or retail chain filing for bankruptcy. So this week it's Buca di Beppo. Have you ever been there?
Oh, no. Oh,
It's been
my
around
dad
since
loves that
1993.
place.
Yes,
Yeah,
really, really
Italian
good food.
deliciousness.
Yes, yummy fat food. I love it. And they say rising costs and falling revenue are to blame because, of course that's what it's going to be. Now, for your dad, tell him, don't worry, the chain is planning to keep the pasta flowing during the whole restructuring period. And they hope to sell the business. But you know what happens when businesses sell, then it's not the same, like, so, but whatever, we'll see what happens. So, but they have 44 locations in 14 states, and those are staying open. So hopefully one near your parents' house will stay open for now. So here's what I want to know. Is this just the nature of the beast? I mean, restaurants and retail shops don't stay open indefinitely, but guess what? Sears and Roebuck was open forever. We had Sears and JCPenney. We could always count on that goddamn catalog to get our school clothes from. So I don't know. But should we expect this, or is this a sign that we're in really big trouble and for sure headed for a major recession? JP Morgan CEO pegged the chances of a smooth economic landing at just 35 to 40%. So that means we could be in for some rough times. He's skeptical that the Fed can hit that sweet 2% inflation target. We talked about it earlier. And Greg, really, I guess you already answered this, but let me pull up Greg Krause from OptionsPlayers.com. So you kind of answered this earlier, but are we supposed to be panicking now? Am I supposed to be selling all my stuff? Like, what say you?
I do have a strategy that tracks daily movement to when I should protect my my investments, my long-term investments. Yeah, it's just the sauce. It's the same thing I trade with daily, but it was actually produced by me and a bunch of my classmates in like 2000 at business school. So, and yes, it told us to protect our goods. That doesn't mean we should purchase puts or anything like that or short the market. It just meant, hey, the market's gone up enough. Now it's looking weak. You need to do it. And it actually did it before it actually started coming down. So it's still going up. So you kind of feel weird for about 2 weeks when you're wrong. But then when it loses $40, you feel great, right?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I just saved $30.
Yeah.
But do I think the Fed is going to hit that 2%? I already gave you that answer.
Yeah.
The answer is I don't think so. I think they're going to finally change it to 3%. A soft economic landing. So people probably don't understand what that is when you raise rates and you start, like, okay, we're going to get to that 2%. Can we get to that 2% and the economy still being go, or do we have to crash the economy to get there, right? It comes back to what are they actually going to do? I don't think the economy is as good as other people think. I think it's really lopsided. So what that means is smaller businesses are not doing as well as the biggest companies, right? So your Amazons and all these big companies are doing great, but everybody else is just too much hurdles to do anything. They can't raise funds. They're not doing as well. So your small cap companies are not producing like your big boys. They're basically putting them out of business, which is what you expect after a large, what happened in COVID, when all those small companies weren't allowed to stay open in some areas, and all the big companies somehow were given permission to stay open. And then you gave them free money at 0% interest. Of course, they're going to crush small companies for a very long time.
Right. Well, they were considered. A lot of them were considered essential, and
Walmart's essential, but your neighborhood grocery store is not essential.
Sure. According to where you live, that neighborhood grocery store is essential. I get it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it came down to politics once again. What is considered essential? To me, essentials are probably not what you consider essentials,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So,
it's personal.
I mean, it changes, right, per everyone. So, I don't think we're going to expect some crazy recession, but do I think the market can really drop? I think the market can. And when people look at the market and they always go, oh, Biden this, okay, Trump left. I think the market was like at 38 and now it's at like 54. But then if you say 30% inflation, we have to adjust that. It's probably not as high as you think it is, has gone up as much. So, but I think it's been stable with high rates. So I think that we're in a good position. And that's why I don't think they should lower rates. Because if we do see a recession coming in, and the economy really starts, then we can lower the rates to help out. But never, ever, ever, I'll say this again, have we ever said the Fed acted too quick to raise the rates to protect? And never have we ever said they lowered rates too late. We've never said that. It's always the opposite of them always going that way, because politically, if you lower rates, it's going to change the discounted cash flow and make everybody look better. Okay. Doesn't matter who's in charge. So,
All right, we got to wrap this up. You got questions, we got you. Hit us up, WNWShow@gmail.com, or connect with us on the social medias, @What's Next Wall Street. We love to hear from you.
On YouTube by searching WNW Show, or tune in on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. I am frozen now. If you're watching on YouTube, my camera froze, but you can still hear my voice. So there's
That's
that.
Well, don't forget to subscribe, smash that alert button to stay up to date with what's trending and what's to date on What's Next Wall Street as soon as that information drops. I'm Dave Mathews.
And I am the frozen Georgia Alfredas. See you next time on What's Next Wall Street.